The wind cut through her thin jacket like a knife. Rita stood outside the diner, counting the crumpled bills and loose change from her tip jar. $14.35. After working a double shift that started at 6 in the morning and ended at 10 at night, that's all she had to show for it. Her fingers were numb, and not just from the cold. The eviction notice she'd stuffed in her purse that morning felt like it weighed 100 pounds. 3 days. That's all the time the landlord had given her. 3 days to come up with $2,000 or she and her daughter would be out on the street. Rita's feet ached as she started walking toward the bus stop. The December wind whipped around her and she pulled her jacket tighter, even though it didn't help much. The zipper had been broken for months, but there was never enough money to replace it. There was never enough money for anything. She thought about Lily waiting at home. Her 7-year-old daughter was probably asleep by now, curled up under both their blankets to stay warm. The apartment's heating barely worked, and the landlord refused to fix it. But even that terrible apartment was better than nothing. Better than a shelter. Better than sleeping in their car again like they'd done 2 years ago. Rita blinked back tears. She wouldn't cry. Crying didn't pay bills. Crying didn't cure Lily's asthma or buy her medication. Crying was a luxury she couldn't afford. That's when she saw the car. It was one of those expensive black sedans that looked like it cost more than she'd make in 10 years. It pulled up across the street, right in front of the fancy Italian restaurant where Rita had applied for a job last month. They never called her back. The car's headlights cut through the darkness before shutting off. A man stepped out. Even from a distance, Rita could tell he was wealthy. Everything about him screamed money. The long wool coat that actually looked warm. The leather shoes that gleamed under the streetlight. The confident way he moved, like the world bent to his will instead of the other way around. He locked his car with a beep and started walking toward the restaurant entrance. Something snapped inside Rita. Maybe it was the exhaustion. Maybe it was the fear. Maybe it was the thought of her little girl waking up in 3 days with nowhere to go. But before she knew what she was doing, her legs were carrying her across the street. "Excuse me. Sir, please, I need to talk to you." The man stopped and turned. His expression was exactly what Rita expected. Annoyed, guarded, the look of someone who thought she was about to ask for spare change. "I don't carry cash," he said flatly. Already turning away. "No, please." Rita's voice cracked. "I'm not asking for a handout. I'm asking for a chance." "Any chance?" He paused, his hand on the restaurant door. Something in her voice must have stopped him because he turned back around, really looking at her this time. "I work," Rita said quickly, the words tumbling out before he could walk away. "I work 70 hours a week at the diner. I've been on my feet for 16 hours today. I'm not lazy. I'm not trying to scam anyone. But my daughter and I are about to be evicted and I'm out of options." The man's face remained neutral, but he didn't leave. That was something. "I have medical bills," Rita continued, her breath coming out in white puffs in the cold air. "My daughter has asthma. Bad asthma. The kind where we end up in the emergency room at least once a month. I can't afford insurance. The free clinic helps when they can. But the medications are expensive and I have to choose between keeping her breathing or keeping a roof over her head." She was shaking now. And not just from the cold. This was humiliating. Standing on a street corner, begging a stranger for help while people walked by and stared. But pride didn't matter anymore. Lily mattered. Only Lily mattered. "I'll do anything," Rita said. "Clean houses. Organize files. Data entry. Manual labor. I type fast. I'm good with numbers. I can work weekends, nights, whatever you need. I just need to make some extra money. Legal money. Honest work, please." The man studied her face. Rita couldn't read his expression. She'd seen that look before on people who had everything. It was like looking at someone from another planet. How could he possibly understand what it was like to choose between feeding your child and filling her prescriptions? "You said your daughter has asthma?" he finally asked. Rita nodded, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. "Since she was 3. It's gotten worse. The doctor says it's partly because of where we live. There's mold in the walls, but I can't afford to move, and the landlord won't fix it." "And you work at that diner?" He gestured toward the building behind her. 2 jobs, actually. The diner during the day and I clean offices 3 nights a week. But it's not enough. It's never enough. Rita's voice broke. "I'm trying so hard. I promise you I'm trying. But I can't do it alone anymore. I thought I could, but I can't." The man was quiet for a long moment. Rita could see him thinking, weighing, deciding if she was worth his time. She held her breath. "What's your daughter's name?" he asked. "Lily, she's 7. She's smart and funny and brave, so much braver than me. When she can't breathe, when she's scared and hurting, she still tries to smile because she doesn't want me to worry." The tears were flowing freely now. She deserves better than this. She deserves a mother who can take care of her. You're out here in the freezing cold trying to find work to help her. That sounds like taking care of her to me. Rita looked up, surprised by the gentleness in his voice. "Come with me," he said. "There's a coffee shop 2 doors down. You look like you're about to freeze to death, and I can't have a proper conversation with someone whose teeth are chattering." Rita hesitated. Every warning about stranger danger ran through her mind. But what choice did she have? She'd already hit rock bottom. The only direction left was up. "Okay," she whispered. They walked to the coffee shop in silence. The warmth inside was overwhelming after the brutal cold. The man ordered 2 coffees and pointed to a corner booth. Rita slid in, wrapping her frozen fingers around the hot cup he placed in front of her. "I'm going to ask you some questions," he said, sitting across from her, "and I need you to be completely honest with me. Can you do that?" Rita nodded. "Show me the eviction notice." She pulled it from her purse with trembling hands. He read it carefully, his face unreadable. "The medical bills, do you have those?" Rita had stopped carrying them all because there were too many, but she had a few recent ones in her wallet. She spread them on the table. Bills for emergency room visits, prescriptions, a specialist consultation she'd scraped together money for. He looked through each one. Then he looked at her. "Why should I help you?" he asked. It wasn't cruel, just direct. "I get approached every day by people with hard luck stories. Why are you different?" Rita took a shaky breath. "I'm probably not different. I'm probably just like everyone else who's drowning and looking for a lifeline. But I'm not asking you to save me. I'm asking you to let me save myself. Give me work. Give me a chance to earn what I need. That's all I want. A chance." The man leaned back, studying her with those sharp, calculating eyes. "I'll give you something better than a chance," he finally said. "I'll give you a test." Rita's heart pounded as she waited for him to explain. "A test? What kind of test?" Her mind raced through possibilities, each one more terrifying than the last. She gripped the coffee cup tighter, feeling its warmth seep into her palms. The man pulled out his phone and made a quick call. "Cancel my reservation." Something came up. He hung up and focused back on Rita. "Here's what I'm proposing. My mother passed away 6 months ago. Her estate needs to be sorted through. It's a big job. I've been putting it off because I can't bring myself to do it alone." He paused, taking a sip of his coffee. Rita waited, barely breathing. "I'll pay you $25 an hour to help organize her belongings. Weekends only, Saturday and Sunday, 8 hours each day. That's $400 a week. I'll pay you 3 weeks in advance. That's $1,200. It'll cover most of your rent." Rita's mouth fell open. $1,200, just like that. It seemed too good to be true. "But there's a condition," he continued. "You have to bring your daughter with you." "What?" Rita's protective instincts flared immediately. "Why?" "Because I want to see if you're really who you say you are. Anyone can tell a good story, but actions tell the truth. If you're genuinely devoted to your daughter like you claim, you won't abandon her to work. She comes with you. My estate is secure and large enough that she can play safely while you work. There's even a small library she might enjoy." Rita's mind spun. It was unusual, definitely, but not dangerous from what she could tell. And Lily would be with her the whole time. She'd be able to watch her, make sure she was safe. "The remaining $800 for rent," the man continued. "You'll earn that over the next 2 weeks. And if you do good work, there might be more opportunities. I need someone organized and trustworthy. Those qualities are rare." "I don't understand," Rita said quietly. "Why would you do this?" "You don't even know me." For the first time, something shifted in the man's expression. A shadow of old pain crossed his face. "My mother raised me alone. My father left when I was 5. She worked 3 jobs to keep us afloat. I watched her struggle every single day of my childhood. She died still working, still fighting, never getting to enjoy the success I eventually built." He looked directly at Rita. "You remind me of her, that says, aim look of someone who's exhausted but won't quit. Someone who'd walk through fire for their child." Rita felt tears prickling her eyes again. "I'm sorry about your mother." "So am I." He stood up. Do we have a deal? Yes, Rita said without hesitation. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. He pulled out a business card and slid it across the table. Rita picked it up with shaking hands. The name embossed on it made her stomach drop. She recognized it. Everyone in the city knew that name. This man owned half the real estate downtown. He was one of those people you saw in the business section of the newspaper. Saturday morning, 9 o'clock sharp. The address is on the back. He pulled out his wallet and counted out several bills. This is $200. Consider it an advance. Get your daughter some warm clothes and buy her those medications she needs. You can't work effectively if you're worried about her. Rita stared at the money on the table. Her hands trembled as she picked it up. I'll work hard, she promised, her voice thick with emotion. I won't let you down. I know you won't. He stood to leave, then paused. One more thing. Don't be late. I value punctuality. Then he was gone, leaving Rita alone in the coffee shop with a business card, $200, and the first flutter of hope she'd felt in years. The next 2 days passed in a blur. Rita used some of the money to refill Lily's prescriptions, getting the ones they'd been stretching and rationing. She bought her daughter a warm winter coat from the thrift store, one without holes or broken zippers. She even got Lily new shoes since her old ones were 2 sizes too small. When Rita told Lily about the job, the little girl's eyes went wide. A big house? Like in the movies? Probably, Rita admitted. But we're going there to work, sweetheart. You'll need to be on your best behavior. Can you do that for Mommy? Lily nodded seriously. I promise. I'll be so good. I'll be quiet as a mouse. Saturday morning arrived with Rita's nerves shot. She'd ironed her best blouse 3 times. She'd polished her only pair of decent shoes. She'd braided Lily's hair neatly and made sure they both looked presentable. They took 2 buses to reach the address on the card. When they finally arrived, Rita thought there must be some mistake. The iron gates in front of them looked like they belonged to a museum, not a house. She pressed the intercom button with a shaking finger. Yes? Came a voice through the speaker. It's Rita. I'm here for the weekend work. The gates swung open silently. Rita took Lily's hand and walked up the long driveway. The house at the end of it was bigger than her entire apartment building. 3 stories of stone and glass with perfectly manicured gardens on either side. Mama, Lily whispered, squeezing her hand tighter. Are you sure we're supposed to be here? I think so, baby. Just stay close to me. The front door opened before they could knock. A woman in her 50s stood there, dressed professionally but kindly. You must be Rita. Come in. Mr. Wellington is in his study. He'll be out shortly. So that was his name. Wellington. Rita filed that information away as she and Lily stepped inside. The foyer alone was bigger than their apartment. A grand staircase curved up to the 2nd floor. Artwork that looked expensive hung on the walls. Lily gripped her hand so tightly it hurt. It's okay, Rita whispered. We belong here. We were invited. Mr. Wellington appeared from a side door. He looked different in casual clothes, more approachable somehow, though still commanding. You're punctual. Good. His eyes moved to Lily. And this must be your daughter? Yes, sir. This is Lily. Hello, Lily. Lily pressed closer to Rita but managed a quiet, hello. The work is upstairs, Mr. Wellington said. But first, let me show you around so you know where everything is. The kitchen. The bathrooms. The library I mentioned. He led them through the house, and Rita tried not to gape at everything she saw. She'd cleaned houses before, but nothing like this. This was wealth beyond anything she could imagine. When they reached the library, Lily gasped. Shelves of books stretched from floor to ceiling. A reading nook by the window had cushions and blankets. You can spend time here when you need breaks, Mr. Wellington told Lily. All these books belong to my mother. She loved to read. I think she'd be happy knowing another child enjoyed them. Lily looked up at Rita with pleading eyes. We'll see, Rita said. After I get some work done. They climbed another flight of stairs to the 3rd floor. Mr. Wellington opened a door to reveal what must have been his mother's room. But it wasn't just a bedroom. It was a suite. A sitting area, a bedroom, a walk-in closet, and what looked like a private office. Everything needs to be sorted, he explained. Clothes for donation, papers to be filed or shredded, personal items to be cataloged, photos to be organized. I'll work alongside you for a while to make decisions about what to keep, but most of it just needs someone with a systematic approach. Rita looked around at the overwhelming task ahead, but she'd faced overwhelming before. I can do this, she said firmly. I believe you can. Mr. Wellington pulled out several empty boxes from the hallway. Let's start with the closet. For the next 8 hours, Rita worked harder than she ever had at the diner. But this was different. This work felt meaningful. As she carefully folded each piece of clothing, as she organized papers and photos, she learned about Mr. Wellington's mother through her belongings. She'd been a teacher. Her closet held comfortable, practical clothes mixed with a few elegant pieces. Her desk drawers contained lesson plans from decades ago, cards from former students, photos of a young boy who must have been her son. Mr. Wellington would come in periodically, sitting in the chair by the window watching Rita work. Sometimes he'd pick up a photo and tell a story, his mother teaching him to read. Her working late at the kitchen table, grading papers while he did homework beside her, the day he bought his first property and made her proud. Lily sat in the corner with coloring books Mr. Wellington had somehow produced. She was quiet, well-behaved, occasionally asking questions about the items they found. What's this, Mama? That's a typewriter, baby. It's what people used before computers. Did she type stories on it? Mr. Wellington smiled slightly. She typed everything on it. Letters, lesson plans, even the note she left me telling me she was proud of the man I'd become. The vulnerability in his voice surprised Rita. This wasn't just a job. This was him trusting her with his grief. When 6 o'clock arrived, Rita had organized the entire closet and half the sitting room. Mr. Wellington surveyed the work with approval. You're efficient. And careful. I appreciate that. He handed her an envelope. Inside were $400 in cash. Same time tomorrow? He asked. Yes, sir. We'll be here. As Rita and Lily walked back down the long driveway toward the gates, Lily tugged her sleeve. Mama, Mr. Wellington seems sad. He is, sweetie. He misses his mother very much. Like I'd miss you. Rita's heart clenched. She knelt down and hugged her daughter tight. I'm not going anywhere, baby. I promise. But as they waited for the bus in the fading winter light, Rita realized something had shifted. For the first time in years, she believed that promise might actually be true. The third weekend changed everything. Rita had fallen into a routine with the work. She'd arrive at 9 sharp, Lily trailing behind her with a backpack full of books and art supplies. Mr. Wellington would have coffee waiting, always in the same 2 mugs. They'd spend a few minutes reviewing what needed to be done that day. Then Rita would dive in while Lily settled into the library, or the sunny corner of Mrs. Wellington's sitting room. The work itself was oddly intimate. Going through someone's life piece by piece, Rita found old birthday cards, ticket stubs from plays, pressed flowers, and books. Each item told a story, and Mr. Wellington seemed grateful to have someone to share those stories with. She kept everything, he said one afternoon, holding up a crayon drawing. This is from when I was 6. I drew her as a superhero because that's what she was to me. Rita smiled watching him. He was different here in his mother's room, surrounded by memories. The cold businessman facade cracked, revealing someone much more human underneath. Lily draws pictures of me too, Rita said. Usually with us living in a big house with a yard and a dog. Dreams, you know. Dreams are important, Mr. Wellington said quietly. My mother never let me stop dreaming, even when we had nothing. It was during the 3rd Saturday while Rita was organizing a box of photographs that Lily had her attack. One moment she was coloring peacefully. The next, she was gasping, her small chest heaving as she struggled for air. The whistling wheeze that Rita knew too well filled the room. Lily. Rita dropped everything and rushed to her daughter's side. Her hands were already digging in her purse for the inhaler. She found it, shook it, pressed it to Lily's lips. Breathe, baby. You know how. Slow and steady. But it wasn't working fast enough. Lily's lips were taking on that bluish tint that sent ice through Rita's veins. I need to call an ambulance, Rita said, her voice shaking. She needs to go to the hospital. Mr. Wellington was already on his phone, but not calling 911. Dr. Chen, it's Robert Wellington. I need you at my estate immediately. A child having an asthma attack, severe. Yes, I understand. Thank you. What are you doing? Rita asked, still focused on Lily. She needs help now. My personal physician lives 10 minutes away. He'll be here faster than an ambulance and can treat her here. Trust me." Rita wanted to argue, but Lily was her priority. She kept administering the inhaler, keeping her daughter calm even though her own heart was racing. "You're okay, baby. Mama's here. Just breathe. In and out. That's my girl." Mr. Wellington knelt beside them. "What else do you usually do?" "Just this." The inhaler keeping her calm. "If it doesn't improve in 5 minutes, we go to the ER. They give her a breathing treatment, sometimes steroids. It depends on how bad it is." His jaw tightened. "How often does this happen?" "At least once a month. Sometimes more." Rita's voice cracked. "It's worse in winter. The cold air triggers it. And stress. And the mold in our apartment. And a dozen other things I can't control." Mr. Wellington's expression darkened, but he said nothing. Instead, he went to the window, watching for the doctor. True to his word, a man with a medical bag arrived within minutes. Dr. Chen moved quickly and efficiently, examining Lily, listening to her lungs, asking Rita questions about her medical history. "She needs a nebulizer treatment," he said. "I have one in my car. I'll be right back." While he was gone, Lily started crying, not just from the attack but from fear and embarrassment. "I'm sorry, Mama. I'm sorry I ruined your work." Rita's heart shattered. She pulled Lily close, careful of her breathing. "You didn't ruin anything, sweetheart. You can't help being sick. But Mr. Wellington is going to be mad. You might lose this job because of me." "No one's losing anything," Mr. Wellington said firmly. He'd been standing by the door, and Rita hadn't realized he was listening. He walked over and crouched down to Lily's level. "You didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes our bodies don't work the way we want them to. That's not your fault." Dr. Chen returned with the nebulizer. For the next 15 minutes, Lily sat with a mask over her face, breathing in medication while Rita held her hand and stroked her hair. Mr. Wellington stayed too, which surprised Rita. She'd expected him to leave to give them privacy or return to his own concerns. Instead, he watched. And she could see him understanding, really understanding what her life was like. The constant fear. The vigilance. The weight of knowing your child's next breath isn't guaranteed. When Lily's breathing finally stabilized, Dr. Chen examined her again. "She'll be fine, but she needs better maintenance medication." "What's she currently on?" Rita listed the generic inhaler they could barely afford. Dr. Chen frowned. "That's not sufficient for someone with her severity. She needs a daily controller medication, plus a better rescue inhaler. Has she seen a pulmonologist?" "Once, 2 years ago. The free clinic got us one appointment, but we couldn't afford the follow-up or the medications he prescribed." Rita hated admitting this in front of Mr. Wellington, hated him seeing just how desperately poor they were. But Lily's health was more important than her pride. Dr. Chen looked at Mr. Wellington, some unspoken communication passing between them. "I want to see her in my office next week," Dr. Chen said to Rita. "We'll run proper tests and get her on an appropriate treatment plan. Mr. Wellington has my contact information. Call my office Monday morning." "I can't afford," Rita started. "It's already handled," Mr. Wellington interrupted. "Just make the appointment." After Dr. Chen left, Rita tried to protest, but Mr. Wellington held up his hand. "Let me be clear about something. I don't do charity. Everything I give, I expect value in return. You're doing excellent work here. Work that would cost me twice what I'm paying you if I hired a professional estate organizer. Consider this an employment benefit." Rita wanted to argue, but Lily was exhausted, curled up on the couch with a blanket Mr. Wellington had provided. Fighting about money could wait. Her daughter's health couldn't. "Thank you," Rita whispered. "You don't know what this means." "I think I do." Mr. Wellington looked at Lily. Something in his expression Rita couldn't quite read. "My mother had her first heart attack when I was 15. We couldn't afford proper treatment. She died of the second one 3 years later. I was building my first business, finally making real money, but it was too late." The pain in his voice was raw, unguarded. "I can't change what happened to her," he continued, "but maybe I can help make sure another mother doesn't have to watch her child suffer because of money." Something shifted in that moment. The dynamic between them changed from employer-employee to something more complicated. Something that felt like the beginning of genuine connection. As the weeks continued, Lily's health improved with proper medication. The difference was remarkable. She could play without constantly stopping to catch her breath. Her sleep improved. Her energy came back. And Mr. Wellington continued finding reasons for Rita to work. After they finished organizing his mother's belongings, he asked her to help sort his home office, then to organize his files, then to help coordinate his household staff schedules. The pay kept coming. Steady, reliable money that allowed Rita to finally catch up on bills. She paid her rent on time. She bought groceries without counting every penny. She even started putting a little bit away in savings. But more than the money, something else was growing. Friendship, maybe, or understanding. Mr. Wellington started spending more time with them while Rita worked. He'd tell Lily stories about his mother, show her photo albums, let her ask endless questions with patience Rita found touching. One Saturday, Rita found him and Lily in the library reading together. Lily was curled up beside him on the couch, completely comfortable, while he read from one of his mother's favorite books. "She likes this story," Mr. Wellington said when he noticed Rita watching. "About the brave knight who was really afraid but did the right thing anyway. That's courage," Lily said seriously. "Being scared but doing it anyway, like my mama." Mr. Wellington looked at Rita. "Your daughter's right. That is courage." Rita felt her face flush. She wasn't used to being seen that way. Most people just saw a struggling waitress, someone to pity or overlook. "I should get back to work," she said. But Mr. Wellington stood up. "Actually, I wanted to discuss something with you. I've been impressed with your organizational skills and your work ethic. I'm considering offering you a position at my company. Executive assistant level. It would be full-time with benefits including health insurance for both you and Lily." Rita's breath caught. "Are you serious?" "I don't joke about business. You'd need to finish a degree, which I'd help pay for. You'd start in a lower position and work your way up. But I think you have the intelligence and drive to succeed." Rita felt dizzy. This was more than she'd ever dreamed of asking for that cold night when she'd approached him on the street. "Why?" she asked. "Why would you do this for me?" Mr. Wellington was quiet for a moment. "Because my mother worked herself to death in jobs that didn't value her. She was brilliant, capable, but she never got the chances she deserved. I see that same potential in you, and this time I'm in a position to do something about it." He paused, glancing at Lily. "And because your daughter deserves to see her mother succeed, not just survive, but actually thrive." Rita's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes. Say you'll take the chance." "Yes," Rita whispered. "Yes, absolutely yes." Lily jumped up and hugged Rita, even though she didn't fully understand what was happening. She just knew her mother was happy, really happy, in a way she hadn't been in years. Mr. Wellington smiled, a real genuine smile that transformed his face. "Good. We'll start the paperwork Monday. But today I think we've done enough work. How about I show you both the garden? My mother planted most of it. She'd want it to be enjoyed." They spent the rest of the afternoon outside, Lily running through the paths between flower beds while Rita and Mr. Wellington talked about plans for the future, about possibilities instead of just survival. As the sun began to set, painting the sky orange and pink, Rita realized something profound. That desperate moment when she'd begged a stranger for help in the freezing cold hadn't just saved her. It had opened a door to a completely different life. Everything was going too well. Rita should have known it couldn't last. The job offer was real. Mr. Wellington's company was prestigious, the kind of place Rita had never imagined working. He'd arranged for her to start in the scheduling department, coordinating appointments and managing calendars. The pay was triple what she made at the diner, and the health insurance was incredible. Rita gave her notice at both her jobs. Her manager at the diner was happy for her, even if a little disbelieving. Her coworkers threw her a small goodbye party with a grocery store cake and genuine congratulations. She'd also enrolled in night classes to finish her business degree. Mr. Wellington's company had an education reimbursement program, and he'd personally ensured she was approved for it. Between work, school, and being a mother, Rita barely slept. But it was different now. She was tired from building something, not just from surviving. Lily thrived, too. With better health care and less stress at home, she was like a different child. More energetic, more confident. She'd even made friends at school. Something that had been hard when they were constantly moving and struggling. For 3 months, life was better than Rita had dared to hope. Then she started noticing changes in Mr. Wellington. He became distant at work. When Rita brought him his morning briefing, he barely looked up. The warm conversations they'd shared at his estate were replaced with curt, professional exchanges. He stopped asking about Lily. He stopped offering. The small kindnesses that had become routine. At first, Rita thought he was just busy. The company was negotiating a major deal. But it felt like more than that. It felt personal. She tried to ask him once if everything was okay. "Everything is fine," he'd said coldly. "Is there something work-related you need to discuss?" The dismissal stung. Rita retreated, confused and hurt. Had she done something wrong? Had she overstepped some invisible boundary? The change affected Lily, too. They hadn't been invited back to the estate since Rita started her new job, which made sense given her schedule. But Lily asked about Mr. Wellington constantly. "Can we visit him, Mama? I want to show him my report card. He's very busy, sweetheart, but I miss him. And the library. And the garden." Rita missed it too, though she couldn't quite explain why. She missed the easy conversations, the feeling of being seen and valued. She missed having someone who seemed to genuinely care about their well-being. What Rita didn't know was that Mr. Wellington's business partner had been poisoning the well. The partner, a man named Richard who'd been friends with Mr. Wellington for 20 years, had noticed the changes in his friend. The distraction, the unusual personal interest in an employee, the money being spent on medical care and education for someone who'd been a stranger 4 months ago. Richard hired a private investigator. Not because he found anything suspicious, but because in his world, people always had angles. Everyone wanted something. And a poor waitress who'd suddenly gained access to a millionaire. That screamed manipulation to him. The investigator's report found nothing criminal. Rita's story checked out completely. She was exactly who she claimed to be. A struggling mother who'd gotten a lucky break. But Richard presented it differently. "She approached you on the street," Richard said, spreading photos across Mr. Wellington's desk. "She knew who you were. She knew you were wealthy. This was calculated." "That's ridiculous," Mr. Wellington said, but doubt crept in. Richard was showing him surveillance footage from that night. You could see Rita waiting, watching the car pull up, then immediately crossing the street. "She was waiting for you," Richard insisted. "She targeted you specifically. And look how much you've given her already. Thousands in medical care, a job she's not qualified for. You're being played." Mr. Wellington wanted to argue, but the footage did look damning if you interpreted it a certain way. And Richard was his oldest friend, his most trusted advisor. Why would he lie? "Women like this, they see vulnerability and exploit it," Richard continued. "She used your grief over your mother. She brought her sick kid to manipulate your emotions. It's classic." "You don't know her," Mr. Wellington said, but his voice lacked conviction. "And you do? You've known her for 4 months. I've known you for 20 years. I'm trying to protect you." The seeds of doubt took root. Mr. Wellington started pulling back, questioning his own judgment. Had he been played? Had he let his grief over his mother cloud his thinking? He'd never moved this fast with anyone before. He'd never been this generous, this personally involved. Maybe Richard was right. Maybe he'd been a fool, so he withdrew. He kept Rita at arm's length, maintaining only the most professional relationship possible. He ignored the hurt confusion in her eyes. He told himself it was better this way. Safer. But pulling away from Rita meant pulling away from Lily too, and that bothered him more than he wanted to admit. He'd gotten attached to that little girl with her endless questions and her drawings. He missed the simple joy of reading to her, of watching her explore his mother's garden. Rita, meanwhile, was spiraling. Without understanding what had changed or why, she assumed she'd done something wrong. She worked twice as hard trying to prove her worth. She volunteered for extra projects. She stayed late. She never complained or asked for anything, but nothing helped. Mr. Wellington remained cold and distant. Maybe this was all a mistake, Rita told her friend Carla one evening after class. Maybe I was never supposed to be in this world. Maybe I should look for another job. Don't be crazy, Carla said. You've worked so hard. You can't let one person's mood ruin this opportunity. But it wasn't just about the job anymore. Rita had started to care about Mr. Wellington as a person. She'd seen past the wealth and power to the grieving son who missed his mother. She'd thought they'd connected on a real human level. Apparently she'd been wrong. Things came to a head on a Thursday afternoon. Rita was delivering files to Mr. Wellington's office when she overheard him talking to Richard. I think it's time to let her go, Richard was saying. Move her to a different department or just let her go entirely. Before this gets more complicated. She hasn't done anything wrong, Mr. Wellington said. Yet. But these situations always end badly. Trust me. Rita backed away before they could see her. Her hands shook as she returned to her desk. They were going to fire her. After everything, after all her hard work, after finally finding stability, she was going to lose it all. The fear was overwhelming. But underneath it was something else. Anger. She'd done nothing wrong. She'd worked hard. She'd been honest. And now she was being punished for what? For being poor? For accepting help? Rita made a decision. She wasn't going to wait to be fired. She was going to confront Mr. Wellington directly and demand to know what had changed. She waited until everyone else had gone home. Then she knocked on his office door. Come in. Mr. Wellington looked up, surprise flashing across his face when he saw her. We need to talk, Rita said, closing the door behind her. If this is about work, it can wait until tomorrow. It's not about work. It's about whatever this is. She gestured between them. You've been treating me like I did something terrible, and I don't understand why. If I overstepped, if I misunderstood what kind of relationship we had, then tell me. But don't just shut me out without explanation. Mr. Wellington's jaw tightened. There is no relationship. I'm your employer. That's all. That's not true, and you know it. For months, you treated me like a friend. You helped my daughter. You shared your mother's memories with us. And then suddenly nothing. You barely look at me. You won't talk to me. What changed? I realized I'd made a mistake, he said coldly. I let my emotions cloud my judgment. I confused gratitude with something more. Rita felt like she'd been slapped. Gratitude? You think I'm just grateful? You think I've been pretending to care about you because you gave me money? Haven't you been? The accusation hung in the air. Rita's anger crystallized into something clear and bright. I approached you that night because I was desperate, she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. I was drowning and I needed help. That's true. But everything that came after, that was real. The conversations we had, the stories we shared, the friendship I thought we were building, that was real. How can I know that? Mr. Wellington asked, and Rita heard the vulnerability beneath the question. How can I know you're not just saying what I want to hear? You can't, Rita admitted. That's what trust is. You can't prove it. You can only choose to believe someone or not. She took a breath, fighting tears. Your partner thinks I'm using you. I overheard you talking about firing me. And maybe that's easier for you to believe I'm just another person trying to take advantage. But I'm not. I never have been. Mr. Wellington looked away. Richard showed me footage from the night we met. You were waiting. You watched my car pull up. You targeted me specifically. Rita's anger flared. I saw an expensive car and a wealthy man, and I made a desperate choice to ask for help. That's not manipulation. That's survival. Do you think I wanted to beg a stranger for work in the freezing cold? Do you think I enjoyed humiliating myself? Then why me specifically? Because you stopped. Rita's voice rose. Because when I asked you to listen, you actually did. Do you know how many people I'd asked before you? How many just walked past like I didn't exist? You were the first person who saw me as a human being instead of just a problem to avoid. The silence stretched between them. I'm not perfect, Rita continued, her voice breaking. I'm not educated or sophisticated or from your world, but I've never lied to you. I've never pretended to be something I'm not. And I thought you valued that honesty. I thought you valued me. I did, Mr. Wellington admitted quietly. I do. Then why are you letting someone else convince you otherwise? The question hung in the air like smoke. Mr. Wellington stood up from his desk, walking to the window that overlooked the city. Rita could see his reflection in the glass, the tension in his shoulders, the internal war playing out on his face. "Because I've been burned before," he finally said. "Because people have used me for money, for connections, for status. Because Richard has been right before about people I trusted. And he's been wrong too, hasn't he?" Mr. Wellington turned to look at her. "What do you mean?" "He's your friend. He cares about you. But that doesn't mean he's right about me. Did he ever meet me? Did he ever talk to me? Or did he just see a poor woman near a rich man and assume the worst?" The accuracy of her words hit home. Richard had never actually spoken to Rita. He'd only seen numbers and implications. "You want to know if I'm real?" Rita continued. "Ask yourself this. What have I actually asked you for? I asked for work that first night. Work, not money. Every single thing you've given me since then, I've worked for. The job you offered me. I didn't ask for that. You offered. To the medical care for Lily? I tried to refuse it. You insisted." She moved closer, her eyes locked on his. "If I was trying to manipulate you, I'd be asking for more. I'd be pushing for a relationship, pushing for access to your wealth. Instead, I've been trying to step back, to maintain professional boundaries, to not overstep, because I know where I came from, and I know what people will think." "What people think doesn't matter," Mr. Wellington said. "It does when it makes you doubt everything." Rita's voice softened. "I don't blame you for being cautious. You've been hurt. You've learned to protect yourself. But you can't live your whole life behind walls because you're afraid of getting hurt again." Mr. Wellington closed his eyes. When he opened them, they were filled with a vulnerability Rita had only seen once before, the day Dr. Chen treated Lily. "I'm afraid," he admitted. "I'm afraid of trusting you and being wrong. But I'm also afraid that Richard's wrong and I'm ruining something real because I'm too scared to take a chance." "Your mother took chances on you," Rita said gently. "She could have given up, could have decided the struggle wasn't worth it, but she kept fighting because you mattered more than her fear." The mention of his mother broke something loose in him. He sank back into his chair, suddenly looking exhausted. "She would have liked you," he said quietly. "She would have seen what I saw that night. Someone brave enough to fight for what matters. She raised you to be that person too," Rita said. "Don't let fear make you into someone else." The tension in the room shifted. Mr. Wellington looked at Rita like he was really seeing her again for the first time in weeks. "I'm sorry," he said. "I should have talked to you instead of just shutting you out." That wasn't fair. No, it wasn't. Rita wasn't going to let him off easy. "But I understand why you did it. Just don't do it again. If you have doubts, if you have questions, talk to me. I'll always tell you the truth even if it's uncomfortable. Even if the truth is that you care about me." The question caught Rita off guard. Her face flushed. "I wasn't going to say that. But it's true, isn't it?" Rita could have denied it. Could have maintained the safe professional distance. But she'd just given a speech about honesty and trust. She had to practice what she preached. "Yes," she admitted. "I care about you. Not because of what you can give me or what you can do for me. Because of who you are. Because you listened when nobody else would. Because you see me as a person, not just someone to pity. Because you're kind to my daughter and patient with her questions and you read to her in funny voices that make her laugh." She took a breath. "Because you miss your mother and you honor her memory in everything you do. Because you're not as cold as you pretend to be. Because underneath all the walls and the caution, you're a good person who deserves to be happy." Mr. Wellington stood up and crossed the distance between them. For a moment Rita thought he might hug her. But he stopped just short, uncertainty flickering across his face. "I care about you too," he said. "Both of you. Lily asked me the other day what courage meant and I realized she learned it from you. You're one of the bravest people I've ever met." Rita felt tears threatening again. "I'm not brave. I'm just a mother trying to take care of her kid. That's what bravery is. Doing what needs to be done even when you're terrified." They stood there close enough to touch but not quite touching, the weight of unspoken feelings heavy between them. "What happens now?" Rita asked. "Now we try this again. Honestly this time. No more hiding behind professional distance or letting other people's opinions matter more than what we know to be true." He reached out and took her hand. It was a simple gesture, but it felt monumental. "I want you and Lily to come to the estate this weekend. Not for work, just to visit. We could have dinner. Lily could explore the garden. We could just spend time together without any pretense or agenda." Rita smiled through her tears. She'd love that. She's been asking about you constantly. I've missed her too. He paused. And I've missed you. I've missed you too. The weekend arrived with Rita feeling nervous in a completely different way than before. This wasn't about proving herself or earning her place. This was about the possibility of something more, something real. Lily was beside herself with excitement, chattering the entire bus ride about all the things she wanted to show Mr. Wellington. Her latest drawings, her improved report card, the book she was reading. When they arrived, Mr. Wellington was waiting at the door. He'd changed out of his usual formal attire into jeans and a sweater, looking more relaxed than Rita had ever seen him. "Lily," he greeted with genuine warmth. "I've been looking forward to seeing you." Lily hugged him without hesitation. "I missed you, Mr. Wellington." "I missed you too. And please call me Robert. Mr. Wellington makes me feel old." "Are you old?" Lily asked with characteristic bluntness. Robert laughed, a sound that transformed his entire face. "Some days I feel ancient, but today I feel pretty good." He'd prepared for their visit. The library had new books he thought Lily would enjoy. He'd arranged for pizza, Lily's favorite food. He'd even set up a small art station in the sunroom, because Rita had mentioned Lily loved to paint. They spent the afternoon together, and it felt natural, easy. Robert and Rita talked while Lily played nearby, sometimes pulling them into her games, sometimes content to entertain herself. As the sun began to set, Robert gave Lily a tour of the garden, showing her which flowers were starting to bloom despite the cold. Rita watched from the terrace, her heart full. "Your mother would have loved this," Rita said when Robert returned. "You told me she wanted her garden to be enjoyed." "She would have loved Lily," Robert agreed. "She always said I needed more lightness in my life, more joy. And do you have that now?" Robert looked at Rita, his expression open and honest. "I'm starting to." Over the following months, their relationship deepened naturally. Robert remained Rita's employer at work, but outside the office, they became something more. Friends first, and then gradually something that felt like family. Rita finished 2 semesters of her degree with straight A's. Robert attended her first major presentation for work, sitting in the back of the conference room and watching her command the space with pride in his eyes. Lily thrived with the stability. Her health continued to improve. She made honor roll at school. She started taking riding lessons at a stable near Robert's estate, something he'd arranged after she mentioned loving horses. Richard eventually came around, though it took time. He apologized to Rita directly, admitting his judgment had been clouded by his protective instincts toward his friend. Rita accepted the apology with grace, understanding where it had come from. One evening, almost a year after that first desperate encounter in the cold, Rita and Robert sat in the garden while Lily chased fireflies across the lawn. "Do you remember what you said that first night?" Robert asked. "You told me you weren't asking me to save you. You were asking me to let you save yourself." "I remember. You did save yourself, you know. Everything you've accomplished, that's all you." "I just opened a door." Rita took his hand. "You did more than that. You saw me when I was invisible. You believed in me when I could barely believe in myself. You gave me not just opportunity but hope." "You gave me something too," Robert said. "Purpose, connection, a reason to open my heart again." He looked at Lily, then back at Rita. "A family." Rita felt tears welling up, but they were happy tears this time. "Is that what this is, a family? If you want it to be." "I want it to be." Robert pulled a small box from his pocket. Inside was a simple, elegant ring. "I know this might seem fast," he said, "but I've learned that life is short and uncertain. When you find something real, something worth fighting for, you don't let fear stop you from reaching for it." Rita's breath caught. "Robert, you asked me once how you could prove you cared about me, but I'm the one who needs to prove something. I need to prove that I'm brave enough to trust what I feel, brave enough to build a life with you and Lily, not because of some transaction or obligation, but because you've become the most important people in my world." "Mama," Lily called from across the garden. "Come look at this flower." "In a minute, baby." Rita called back, her eyes never leaving Robert's face. "You've already given me so much," she said. "You don't have to give me more." "I'm not giving you anything. I'm asking you to give me something. A chance, a future, a partnership where we face whatever comes together." Rita looked at the ring, then at Robert, then at her daughter playing in the garden of what had become a second home. She thought about that freezing night a year ago, when she'd been at her lowest point, when she'd gathered every ounce of courage she possessed to approach a stranger and beg for help. She'd thought she was asking for money or work or a way to save her daughter, but she'd been asking for so much more without even knowing it. She'd been asking for someone to see her, to believe in her, to give her a chance to become the person she was always meant to be. Yes, she said, her voice strong and clear. Yes to all of it. The chance. The future. The partnership, yes. Robert slipped the ring on her finger and kissed her, gentle and full of promise. Lily noticed them from across the garden and came running. Why are you crying, Mama? Because I'm happy, sweetheart. So incredibly happy. Is Robert going to be part of our family now? If that's okay with you, Robert said, kneeling down.